The world is split up into multiple tectonic plates and other multiple plates that surround it. Oh, so you might think those are just random cracks in the surface. Or are they? See, tectonic plates aren't just random cracks in the rock, they move, smash, and also rub against each other all the time, even creating mountain ranges or subduction zones. Tectonic plates move because the mantle is always literally like a convection current. Yes, you thought water only has convection? Well, molten rock has convection too. It is when hotter magma rises into the crust, and when it cools down, it'll just sink back down and create a loop. Keep this in mind that relatively cooler magma will still melt your anus or even other metals. There are three main types of, plate tectonics. There may be like convergent, divergent, or transform tectonic plates. The first one is convergent. The first type of a convergent boundary is subduction. Subduction occurs between two oceanic plates or one oceanic plate and a continental plate. Oceanic plates are much more older while continental plates are heavier and are made of newer rocks. Now, we have already talked about this in our previous video, Volcanoes 101. However, we have not talked about how it forms. So basically, when oceanic plate meets a continental plate, it'll almost always get shoved down under the mantle because, well, its mass. Now, because of that, now it's being shoved down and it's moving faster, and now a portion of the continental plate is getting shoved down as well, creating a trench. This is why the Mariana Trench formed, because the Philippine Sea Plate is subducting under the Pacific Plate, while for the Philippine Trench, the Philippine Plate is subducting under the Eurasian Plate. There is also when two continental plates collide. When two continental plates collide, the rock, which is really made out of young rocks, will eventually form upwards, creating some seamounts in the first place. Now, as they move closer and closer, as they collide more and more, the mountain ranges are going to get taller and taller and taller until they reach the sea level and become a large mountain range. The most famous example of this is the Himalayas. It is when the Indian Plate is colliding with the Eurasian Plate. The Indian Plate contains the countries of Nepal, Bhutan, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and China, with the Eurasian Plate. It also has the tallest mountain in the world, Mount Everest, sitting at 29,035 feet, or in meters, 8,848 meters. Now, subduction zones are one of the most common places to have an earthquake. Asterisk, because the oceanic plate is always rubbing against the continental plate, which creates motion and sometimes pressure to build up. Now, when pressure literally just, exerts its own force, it'll create an earthquake, and that sudden shaking will actually damage some homes. Now, for the second type of plate boundaries, which is divergent boundaries, it is basically just rip zones. Like, I already talked about them in the last video, also in Volcanoes 101. You should definitely check that video out in my Facebook account called Greg Hepley. Anyway, so, basically, how it works is this. So I'm gonna just recap it to you. When two plates are separating from each other, it'll almost always create new crust. As the two plates are separating, this new crust is actually a weak point because it's much more, deeper than it used to be. Now, it creates a new patch for magma to intrude in and create volcanoes. These are called Rift Valley volcanoes. Now, Rift Valleys typically contain lakes like in the African Great Lakes, or one of the most famous examples, Iceland. Currently, it's being split apart by the North American Plate on the left, and into the right, the Eurasian Plate. So that's why there's so much volcanoes in Iceland. Anyway, so you see that yellow thingy right there? Well, that's where the rifting is actually faster. Depending on any, location, rifting actually comes at different speeds and different heights. Wait, why did I say different heights? Anyway, so depending on the location, you can either find that it's slow, or in other locations that it's fast. Another one is transform faults. It is basically just strike-slip faults, but with literally just plate boundaries. The most famous example of this is the San Andreas Fault when the Juan de Fuca Plate and the North American Plate. No comments here because it's just strike-slip fault. If you're standing right next into the spot you've been 1 year ago, you might notice that you have moved a millimeter away relative to you. This is because plate tectonics move extremely slowly. In fact, so slow that it will take a few million years to even travel kilometers or even separate. And as always, thanks for watching.